Welcome. This is Lab 7.4, question number 1. Here we're calculating bad debts using the balance sheet approach, where we're calculating a percentage of each class of accounts receivable classed by age, and we're determining the overall allowance for doubtful accounts that we need to set up at the end of the year. So we have credit sales of $1.6 million in the year of 2014. At the year end, the allowance for doubtful accounts has an unadjusted debit balance, and that means that we underestimated bad debts in a previous year, and so we actually recorded more bad debts than we actually set up an allowance for. So it's actually a debit balance. We want normally to have that as a credit balance because it's a contra account to the accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is a debit balance, being an asset, and this valuation allowance for doubtful accounts valuation allowance reduces that amount to the collectible, the estimate of the collectible accounts receivable. So we need to calculate what the allowance for doubtful accounts should be based on the age of the account receivable. So we're given a table that shows us the age of different classes of accounts receivable. So there's some that are not due yet. There are some which are 1 to 30 days, others 31 to 60, 61 to 90, and over 90. And based on past information, they've estimated a certain percentage of each of those classes as being uncollectible. And so we need to calculate the amount that is appropriate for the allowance for doubtful accounts. So we just take each number, 588,000 times 1.35%, so 588,000 times 0.01, whoops, 0.0135 is 1.35%, and then we add 470,000, make sure you have enough zeros there, times 0.02, and of course the bedmaster rule says it's going to do the multiplication before it does the addition, so we're good. 82,000 times 0.07, you can make it 0.07 if you like. I did it by mistake, but you could do it intentionally. Plus 48,000, a lot of the 61 to 90 days accounts receivable are expected to be uncollected, so we're multiplying that by 0.3150. 31% is expected to not be collectible, and if it's made it to 91 or 90 days past due, we expect to not receive very much at all. 67 point, whoops, I need a decimal point in front. 0.672567.25%. So our allowance for doubtful accounts should be actually 43,578. We know that it's actually in a debit balance already, so when we make our journal entry here, and this is the next thing, we need to put in the date, 31/12 gives us December 31st as the date. We're going to record bad debt expense right there, and the other side of the entry is going to be allowance for doubtful accounts right there. Now the amount, we need the target allowance for doubtful accounts. We need to make enough of adjustment to make the allowance for doubtful accounts 43,578 after we make the adjustment. So we're already in a debit balance. We need to make it 43,578 plus the 11,000 we have to cover from an underestimate in the previous period. So 54,578 in this case. And of course the bad debt expense is just the plug to balance the journal entry. And let's see what Lyrics thought of that. Lyrics agrees. We are done.